Now, I don't know if I'm the only one with this specific mindset, but this titular duo is basically the Gen Zers version of Elliot and E.T., isn't it? I mean, it's gotta be. Lilo and Stitch turns 20 years old in the year 2022. This is kind of insane, guys. And this was actually one of my most nostalgic films growing up as a little boy. This was a movie that was constantly on repeat. I remember owning the clamshell VHS copy of Lilo and Stitch and just having that on repeat. But is it a movie that'll still hold up for the 5-year-old kid that watched it 20 years ago? Now morphed into the geek you see right now? Let's find out. But before we do so, welcome to my channel. My name is Zach. I love discussing all brand new things, movies and entertainment. I love discussing all things geeky like Disney and Disney animation. So if these all sound like topics you're interested in discussing along with me, if you're new to the channel, by the end, do consider smashing that subscribe button and that notification bell right next to it, so that way y'all can always stay in the loop over here. But let's dig deep into Lilo and Stitch. This is the tale of a young girl's close encounter with the galaxy's most wanted extraterrestrial. Lilo is a lonely Hawaiian girl who adopts a small, ugly dog, and dog is a term that's used very lightly in this film, but she names him Stitch. Now, Stitch would in fact be the perfect pet if he weren't in reality a genetic experiment who's escaped from an alien planet and crash-landed on Kauai. And through her love, faith, and unwavering belief in family, Ohana means family. Family means no one gets left behind. That's a message that will be hammered into you over the next hour and a half if you watch this one. But Lilo basically unlocks Stitch's heart and gives him the ability to love. And my goodness, honestly, rewatching this film the other night, it just brought so much nostalgia and just good vibes to me. This movie was a delight. This is definitely a ballsy attempt for Disney, who is kind of going off the rails going into the new millennium. They didn't really have very many hits after the Disney Renaissance, anything like that, especially after The Lion King. They kind of started to take a downward spike. Hunchback of Notre Dame, I love that film to death. It was not a big hit at the box office compared to some of its predecessors. And Hercules, which I just talked about a month ago, extremely polarizing feature. But I feel like Lilo and Stitch was the first Disney film of the new millennium to receive universal acclaim. And I think that has to do with the fact that this relationship between our two title characters is just so heartwarming. They basically tell this fish out of water story in Stitch perfectly. He's a very animalistic creature when we first meet him on this spaceship thing, with this overseeing female alien umbrage person who's kind of looking like the Squidward character in Avengers Infinity War, if you know who I'm talking about. And that's one thing that I'd like to especially praise about this film in general. Absolutely gorgeous animation. I mean, this is a film with Disney's name on it, so what else do you really expect? I love the designs of these alien creatures. They are just so out there. I love the character of Jumba as well, the four-eyed creature who's basically the big brute of the pair that's going out to hunt Stitch on Earth. And then, of course, you have his geeky little sidekick who's just a big old stick in the mud. These mosquitoes are just endangered species! I thought the slapstick with all these aliens on Earth was loads of fun. Stitch as a character also, he doesn't really have a whole lot of spoken dialogue, but they get across so much with this little thing. And like I said, the connection he shares with Lilo is just so incredible. I want to talk about Lilo for a second, because this is a character that could have been extremely annoying, but I'm sitting here right now thinking this is one of the greatest child characters ever. Because she's obnoxious, she's loud, she's weird, and she's completely out of control, which kind of describes a young kid like Lilo in a lot of ways. Disney capturing that is the biggest plot twist in all of history. I feel like Lilo is such a fascinating character, and seeing as how she's a big outsider from the rest of the crowd, and these are just annoying girls in their own right, that makes her even more interesting, just because she sticks out from everybody else. And I really respect the fact that Disney did not go full-on cliche with her backstory either. Her relationship with her older sister, Nani, is just such a believable situation. Her older sister basically has to look after her because the parents tragically passed away in a car accident. And one of my favorite plot points of Lilo and Stitch, if not my personal favorite plot point, Is Nani a good mother for Lilo? There's a social worker named Cobra Bubbles who comes into the mix to look after Nani to make sure that she's a good mother to Lilo so she doesn't have to be taken away to a foster home. He's voiced by Ving Rhames, which I don't think was a mistake. He does so well with this character, and it would obviously be very, very tempting to look at this domineering presence and make him the bad guy. But spoiler alert, he doesn't turn out to be the bad guy. He's just doing his job. And that just makes the whole human dynamic so intriguing with Lilo and Stitch. It is heartbreaking. It is just so relatable in so many ways. They got so many elements of both sides of this narrative so right. But yeah, let's face it, there are some things with Lilo and Stitch that feel pretty derivative, don't they? Like the action sequences that bookend this film. While exciting, there's no chance that you don't see any Star Wars comparisons to the way these are directed. Even the way they're animated, the green blasters coming out of the spaceships, it looks very akin to an Empire Strike Force in the original trilogy. It is like, rewatching this film, that's just something that couldn't escape my mind as I was watching it. And yeah, if you look at the story, they do hammer in the themes and the messages. Not like they're bad messages at all, the meaning of family and what have you, but there's some points where it just feels like they're hammering it in a little too thick. I realize that this is a movie that's made for children and what have you, but I feel like there was a bit of a missed opportunity for them to go a little bit more subtle, especially in regards to Stitch's story. And this is a bit of a spoiler for those of you who've never seen Lilo and Stitch, but he basically is going to sleep, and he pulls out Lilo's copy of The Ugly Duckling, and she's just sitting there basically telling him the whole plot line, and it is basically just her explaining Stitch's backstory there. And with the connection that these two share, it's gonna draw comparisons to E.T., Elliot's connection to the alien thing. It's inevitable that they're gonna get those comparisons. This movie can never escape that, in my opinion. But there's just so much about Lilo and Stitch that is so memorable, especially with these two characters, that you don't really care. The 5-year-old kid watching this movie for the first time in 2002 certainly didn't care. Are there any aminals in here? Blur, punch bugger. Yeah, I'm working on the Stitch impression, so get off my back. Overall, if you've never seen Lilo and Stitch, I highly recommend that you guys pop this on Disney Plus on Blu-ray if you want to get really fancy, especially just to look back and see how Disney really kick-started into the new millennium here. I'm gonna give Lilo and Stitch an A-. I'm shocked that I haven't rewatched this film as many times as I have over the last 20 years. I absolutely adore this thing, but let me know what you guys think of Lilo and Stitch down in the comments section below. Let me know what your guys' favorite Disney film after the new millennium is. Honestly, like I said, I love sitting here making these videos. I love discussing all things Disney, all things entertainment with you guys, really. So one last reminder, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, and heck, go ahead and leave a like on your way out. That would be extremely helpful. Stay tuned for more exciting content hitting this channel very soon. I'll be wrapping up my Jurassic Park playlist in the build-up to Dominion on June 10th. Very loaded Memorial Day weekend with Top Gun Maverick. I cannot wait to see that. I'm hearing all the positive buzz, and I'm like, whoa, really? And I think I can go ahead and announce this right now. The next film in my Disney journey throughout this year, to satisfy this New Year's resolution that I concocted on January 1st, review as many Disney movies as you can, Zach. But we're gonna go back to the Pixar realm. We're actually gonna be celebrating the 15-year anniversary next month in June 2022 of Ratatouille, a movie that nobody ever talks about on here. So guys, stay tuned for that review on Ratatouille. I can't wait to bring that to you guys and much more. Y'all are the best. And with all that being said, back talk, commence!